A famous saying is, a rose by any other name smells just as sweet. So what good's a name? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah. Day number 1 of the Torah portion, Shemot, which means names. Let's go to Shemot, Exodus, chapter number 1, beginning with verse 1. These are the names of the Shemot, if you will, of the children of Israel who came to Mitzrayim, to Egypt, with Yaakov, each one with his household: Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all those who were descendants of Yaakov were 70 beings, as Joseph was already in Mitzrayim. So what's the deal about a name? Someone introduces you, and we typically here in the U.S. will stick out our hand and say, hey, my name is whatever your name. I make it a point that when I meet someone that I offer my name to them. Hi, I'm Barry Phillips. Now, that may mean nothing to anyone, at least at the moment of introduction. Hopefully, it would mean some value later on, that we can be of value to someone. But the idea of a name, it has meaning. Not everyone's name is a prophetic gesture. Many times they are. My name, Barry, is, at least as far as I can tell, is from an old English term, as many names are, meaning the keeper of the barrier, or he is the barrier keeper. So if you want to look at the Torah as being the boundaries or the barrier of Yah's laws and a keeper of such, that's a good name. So I can go with that. Names have significance. Names are important. It's more important, though, about who knows your name. I know who I am. I know what my name is, but other people knowing my name, that's important. When we come to this first verse, these are the names of the children of Israel, and each of the tribes are named individually. Now, why is that necessary? We've seen these names many times. Yah is reminding us that each one of these individuals, these sons who went down to Mitzrayim, he remembered them. They are on his mind, and he can call them by name. Each one of them has a significant storyline, much of which we do not have a recording of. But they had personalities, they had traits, skill sets, they had faults, they had family members and stories that they could have told to their future generations. Again, we don't have any of that for the most part. But Yah says, I remember who they are. I know their names. We come to a section of the Torah, someplace in the scriptures, and there's this long list of names of genealogy. Many of the names we failed to be able to pronounce, but they are named, and we might wonder, why does the scriptures go through all this list of names? Is genealogy that important? Well, it's more than genealogy. It's this 2-second, 3-second moment in the light of the sun, the light of our reading, where we pronounce or try to pronounce someone's name. And yes, we know nothing much about them. But Yah is saying to us, these obscure people who didn't make a dent as far as the world is concerned, other than the fact they're listed in a scriptural context, I remember them. I knew and know who they are. I know all about them. I know all that was important to them, and I remember them. And so it is with you, and so it is with me. Yah remembers our name. He knows our name. We teach our children when they're little. He knows the number of hair on your head. He knows your street address. He knows your phone number. He knows your email accounts. He knows all your passwords. Sometimes that's important. Father, help me to remember what that password was. He remembers our name. So in that regard, that's why I said it's important to understand who knows your name. Now, in the instance of Yeshua, we find out in Matthew chapter number 1 and verse number 21 that Joseph is being told in a dream concerning Mary, or Miriam, who has now been found with child, and it's not his child. But Yah says to him that this is of him. And he says in verse 21, and she, Miriam, shall give birth to a son, and you shall call his name Yeshua, for he shall save his people from their sins. Yah is salvation. Yeshua. It's important. Yeshua's name is connected vitally to the name of the Father. He comes as the right arm of Yah's salvation. He comes to deliver his people, Israel. And it's important that we understand he was named for a prophetic reason. His name is not an obscure name. It's not a hybrid name. His name is Yeshua. First Nations friends of ours, Doctors Sukina and Kwamanik, have taught us in a book called Warfare by Honor. If you have a chance to grab that, I encourage you to do so. Great text. You want to get that. Warfare by Honor by Doctors Kwamanik and Sukina. And in this, we are taught that calling someone by their name is an act of honor. To call them by a name that does not pertain to them, or a title that does not pertain to them, or a derogatory term that does not belong to them, is dishonoring. So I'll call him Yeshua because that is his name, and it's the honorable thing to do. Now, Yeshua said to us in Luke chapter number 10, when the disciples returned rejoicing that even demons were subject to them and that they've been able to perform healings, he says in verse 20, but do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice that your names have been written in the heavens. History may never record your name. No one on earth after you're gone may remember your name with any source of significance. After your obituary is read in the paper and the body has been taken care of and the family has died away, someone may never discover your name unless they're doing a genealogical research. But the word says that our names are written in the heavens. It's important for us then to understand that Yah's not discounting us. In the book of Malachi, there is a listing of those names on those who think on his name. So if you want your name to be remembered, think and meditate on his name. We go a little bit further in the book of Revelation in chapter number 20. It says in verse number 11, and I saw a great white throne, and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one according to his works. And death and Sheol were thrown in the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. You want your name remembered. It's not as though you've got to do great deeds and exploits. You must be faithful. You must do the works that Yah has called you to. Yeshua says, depart from me, for I do not know you. But then he also says, welcome and enter in those who have been faithful. You may know your name, but does he know your name? We'll see you again tomorrow. To this, shalom.